All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pierce Robinson. We would like to welcome you all to the Urban Redevelopment Authority and Allegheny County's DBE certification webinar. Tonight, we'll just be talking about just the way to get certified through the state to be a certified minority business. So just really quick about the URA. Our mission and vision: we exist to support the City of Pittsburgh's economic development goals, which are designed to create a city of inclusive opportunity for residents, stakeholders, and communities. So for those who aren't familiar with the URA is actually the City of Pittsburgh's economic development arm. Primarily what we do is redevelopment through construction and development of different sorts, but also two equally important things that we do is we assist homeowners with different resources, as well as assist businesses of all sizes to start, grow, or expand within the City of Pittsburgh's boundaries. Tonight, like I said, I'm Pierce Robinson. I have my colleagues from the URA, Jasmine and Tim, who also work on the MWBE team and in compliance. So if there are any URA questions, please enter them into the Q&A and we'll be available to answer them at the end. We have our partner, Robert Beach from Allegheny County, who's actually going to be doing the presentation tonight. So just for context, before we get started, I know some of you might be familiar with the Ura Self-Certification Process. And the reason why that was created was to create somewhat of a bridge between, you being able to participate in URA sort of sponsored activities while you go and you get your, your state certification. The URA self-certification is only for URA projects. So we wanted to, enable people to be able to, participate immediately, because we know that the, the state process is a little lengthy. So we always encourage everyone who comes to see us, to get, the certification, so you can participate in not just URA opportunities, but opportunities that legally require MW participation across the board. So with that, I will turn over give me 1 second. I will turn over the presentation to Robert to get started. Robert, the floor is yours.
Okay, Lisa, do you want to give us an intro here? My my director, the Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer.
I'm sorry, Robert. I'm sorry, everyone. If I can't, are the slides up? I can't.
Can you see them?
Yes, the slides are up, Lisa.
Okay, so maybe it's the way I have. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I have them. So, as they stated, we're Allegheny County's Department of Equity and Inclusion, and we provide a DBE certification. We are located in the county office building, and this is our contact information. Go to the next slide, please. And so this is our mission: to support minority, women, and disadvantaged business enterprises. And we'll go over what the definition of a disadvantaged business enterprise is, build the capacity of minority and women businesses, monitor contracts, provide outreach, support equity within the county and external facing services. And you all can read this. I don't need to read it word by word. So you can go to the next screen, please. And so in our department, we, of course, certify DBEs. We do contract compliance, where we ensure that minority and women businesses are given an opportunity to participate on Allegheny County contracts. And we do a lot of outreach, such as this presentation. And Robert Beach, our certification analyst, is going to go through the requirements for DBE certification. And I keep saying DBE certification because many people call it a minority or woman business certification, but the definition is disadvantaged business enterprise, and it does include, it does include minority and women business owners. Thank you. Go ahead, Robert.
Thanks, Lisa. Next slide. And another slide. All right, so certification, and again, we're going to be stressing this a lot. This is DBE certification. We look at two different factors of what makes it a disadvantaged business enterprise. So broadly speaking, it was designed to ensure that there was some sort of equal opportunity with Department of Transportation related contracts. Now, this may be different across different public entities, but broadly speaking, this is purely for Department of Transportation related work. So can you hit the next slide? So the PAUCP, or Pennsylvania Unified Certification Program. So each state has their own certification program, unified certification program. PA is obviously one of them, and each certification program has different agencies. And for Pennsylvania, we have 5 different certifying participants to certify as a DBE or an ACDBE, airport concessionaire. We can get into that terminology a little bit later on. You hit the next slide. Okay, so like I said, we are one of 5 certifying participants, and we have 5 purely for the caseloads we usually have. We have a lot of applications and a lot of certified firms to go through with the review process and go through the application process. And as of recently, we're trying to sort out by a region. So on more of the southwestern, kind of western part of the states, we're trying to tackle applications in that area with Allegheny County, us here, Department of Equity and Inclusion, and also Port Authority of Allegheny County, the Office of Disadvantaged Business, Enterprise, and Diverse Business. And the other 3, Harrisburg, up in Harrisburg is PennDOT, so Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. And on the eastern part of the states, we have SEPTA, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, and also the Philadelphia International Airport Office of Business Diversity. So we mentioned reciprocity because if you're certified with one of those agencies for DBE certification, it works for across the states. So if a contractor or a public organization is looking for DBE certification and you have it with PennDOT and it's a Allegheny County project, well, congratulations, you are certified still with the PAUCP. You can use that certification across the states with whomever is using is having that requirements. Next slide, please. So a couple of things, there's some advantages for having this certification. For one, we do have a public database where you can look up a business description, type in, let's say, janitorial work or construction, and it'll give you a list of different DBEs that are certified and currently certified within our system. So that's part of the marketing your business aspects. There's access to information. There's various different information that we provide throughout the year. And there's invitations to networking opportunities and access to special loans and other perks that you can inquire about to your different certifying entities. Hit the next slide. So just recently, in the past year or so, we've been utilizing a new portal. It is much better, in my opinion, than the previous one we've done before. It is the paucp.dbesystem.com. It brings you to the main page for the PAUCP, and you can click on the portal you want. We highly suggest it to be applying to your region. So if you're in Allegheny County or Pittsburgh, applying to Allegheny County proper or Port Authority, either or is fine because we do the exact same type of work. It's just different people processing it and the exact same regulations. But more to the point, you click on the portal link and it'll bring you to a pop-up window where you can create your vendor account. If you haven't done so already, then you can proceed to create an application record and use it to input in different documents that it's required depending upon your business type, on top of notifying us in the system when you submitted and continue the Q&A and seeing what else you may need for the documents in that portal. Hit next slide. So a couple of certification requirements. Broadly speaking, there's a plethora of regulations of what makes a certified firm that allows for certification. But broadly speaking, we need to have at least 51% owned by one or more individuals who are both socially and economically disadvantaged, or in the case of a corporation, in which 51% of a stock is owned by one or more such individuals. On top of that is not just ownership, but it is also about the management and daily business operations that are they're controlled by one or more of the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Next slide. So what do we mean by socially disadvantaged groups? We are involving women, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, subcontinent Asian Americans, and other minorities found to be disadvantaged by the SBA. So these are presumed socially disadvantaged groups. There is usually a check mark box right next to the application where you can list what you want to be designated as there. Next slide. And broadly speaking, these are just an expanded list of what we mean, what DOT means exactly by these socially disadvantaged groups. Next slide, please. And then economically disadvantaged. So here, broadly speaking, we're looking at the personal net worth of the individual that is not exceeding over $1.32 million. There's a couple of caveats when it comes to the personal net worth there. We do have a personal net worth statements we have applicants fill out. We have a lot of applicants that are well under the personal net worth cap, but we still have to go through the process and make sure that that statement, that personal net worth statement is complete to its full extent. But at the end of the day, the cap is the cap, and we try to make sure that what is represented on the personal net worth statement is true and factual.
So Robert, if I could just interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
Say that the application, a personal net worth statement and supporting documents are all required. So that's a part of a complete application.
And one of the benefits of doing it online, it lists out all the mandatory and required documents for your type of business. So say if you're an LLC, it's going to ask for your operating agreements and your certificate of formation, or if you're a corporation, it's going to ask for your stock ledger, your list of stock certificates, all that, and also the standard documents that we usually request every applicant. Another aspect about this is we look at the economically disadvantaged firms. So what we mean by economically disadvantaged firms is how the SBA considers a small business. Small businesses that do not exceed 26.29 million in average gross annual receipts over a 5-year period. That is exactly what we mean. So if you have a really good year and then consistently under the cap, that averages out to under, then you're still qualified for this program. Go ahead and hit the next slide. Okay, so here's a fun one, certification process. So broadly speaking, you complete the application online, preferably online, and it's supporting documents and answer every question. If every question is not answered, we will return the application back, and we consider a request for information, and we will make note of what is not present within the application, so you can fill it out and return it back to us so we can deem it as complete. Two things definitely need to be notarized and complete: the affidavit certification and the personal net worth statements. So those two items definitely need to be notarized and submitted as part of the package. So as part of the process, once we get to the stage where we deem an application as complete, we will notify the firm by email through a PDF letter that states, on this date of your last submission, we have a certain time period where we have to come down with a determination. And in that period, we'll have an in-depth review, do some research, and if there's any sort of questions that come up that we just need to be addressed, we'll have a conversation with all owners and key personnel during the on-site interview that is typically done at the primary place of business. Then additionally, on top of that, when we note that the application is deemed complete. We're talking about the initial documents. There might be more documents we might be requesting just so we can quell any sort of questions we may have about the certification. All right, next slide. And continue on. So like I mentioned, the on-site interview, that's later on in the application process and closer to it being a final determination points. So the on-site interview will confirm the information provided that reflects the firm's ownership and control of the business. At that point, after the interview, all the information providing during the application will be reviewed and the certification determination will be rendered. So two things that might happen. Once we do the reports, which is after doing the on-site interview, we provide a summary and provide the interview to our directors typically, and the directors will make the decision of either approve for certification or deny for certification. If you're certified, great, wonderful. You'll get a number of NAICS codes and a work description to be listed on the PAUCP certified firm directory. So you can look yourself up on the public directory and see all your information present there and what you're certified to do. And for example, if you're denied for certification at all, we will provide a denial letter and detail in great detail with the regulations also included in the letter why your firm and application is denied certification. In addition to that, if you don't agree with the denial letter, that is fine. You can appeal it to the appeal committee, the PAUCP appeals committee, which is the other certifying agencies, directors, and different organizations associated with the PAUCP. That is an informal hearing that hears our case and whomever's denying the firm's case for why this firm should not be certified. On top of, they also hear from the applicant's perspective. And you can also appeal directly to US DOT's Office of Civil Rights as well. So there's two options if you want to appeal your decision. Next slide, please.
One
You're
second,
good.
please.
Yeah.
So in reference to what Robert has stated, I just want to make a few points. So he said that there is a timeline for certification. So I just want to make it clear that it is a process. It is a lengthy process. It doesn't happen overnight. So we suggest firms apply for certification as soon as possible, whether you have work pending or not, because you don't want to wait till you have a contract and you want to be used to meet a MBE or WBE goal and you don't have your certification. There's no cost for certification. So we, again, ask that you just advise you to submit it as soon as you can. In addition to that, we're certifying that the firms are minority owned and controlled. So that's what the certification is. It is called a DBE certification, but like Robert stated, it is inclusive of minorities and women that are socially and economically disadvantaged. And so we're not certifying that your firm is a great contractor, and not saying that your firm isn't, but our certification is that you are owned, operated, and controlled by a minority or a woman that has been deemed as socially and economically disadvantaged. Thank you.
And to bounce off that, we are also looking at the type of work, the scope of work that you do as well for various NAICS codes, and seeing, do you have the capability to do this type of work? And again, like not necessarily the judge or quality of it, but let's say you're a janitorial company. Do you have cleaning supplies? How are you conducting your work? And one more thing about the timeline, we do provide notice. So our deadline for applications, once we deem your applications complete, is 90 days to come down with a determination of approval or denial. We do have the option to extend by 60 days for an extension, just to put that into perspective on, it is a lengthy process, and that's when the application is deemed complete. There is a queue, and that's part of the reason why we have that deadline in place. So once you do get certified, awesome, congrats. We're going to be bugging you every year after that. So once you get your approval letter to say you're approved, you will have to come back to us with only, I would say, at least 2 documents: the no change affidavit and the previous year's tax returns, and any sort of affiliated tax returns you may have as well. So that is part of the annual review process, where we do look at the various NAICS code caps, the program cap, and review the list of your employees and the number of gross receipts you have in the past 5 years. And that's usually around the time period. So let's say you get approved on, let's say, February 20th. You get approval letter, great. A year after that, that's your anniversary dates. So every year from February 20th, around that time, the system that we have, the portal, is going to be sending you emails, say like, hey, it's time to fill out your no change affidavit. And if you don't hear back, we'll probably be sending out certified mail letters to your business address, so you can have these documents completed. And this is all part of the additional review process that we have to do as standard for the program. Next slide, please. So I mentioned no change affidavits have to be filled out every year, and they do, even if you have a change occurring. And what we mean by change is filling out a notice of change affidavit, which is a series of yes or no questions. And those yes no questions involve, is your personal net worth in excess of $1.32 million based on your prior calculation you did recently? Is your business size and overall gross receipts exceed the SBA criteria? Is there an ownership change, or was there was there any additional officers or directors added or removed potentially? Was there something going on for your business structure? Just broadly speaking, any sort of material change in the information provided in your application. Next page. So like I mentioned earlier, there was a database, so paucp.dbe systems, that we highly recommend people, like, even if they're just looking up different certified firms, highly recommend going on the PACP to do their search instead of the individual portals. That way you can capture every single certified firm in the state of PA. Next slide. So one more thing that we do add. So if you do get certified with us, again, congrats. The Pennsylvania Department of General Services, PADGS, they do accept the PACP as a third-party certifier for small diverse business verification under their small diverse business program. So if you get certified with us, or the PACP in general, then you can go to DGS and be able to log in and show your verification, your approval letters, and get that verification there and be accepted in. Next slide. And then our websites. So it is not the portal website, but it is our website in general. You can see it under work, doing business, and then equity and inclusion. Next slide. And then you can also follow us on Facebook. We provide a couple of updates, and that is the URL there. Next slide. And I kind of went by pretty quickly, and I'm sure everyone has a lot of questions. So I'll bring it back to Pierce and Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you. I will try to read the questions in the order they came in so we can stay on track.
Pierce,
Daniel, were you going to jump in?
Yeah, just real quick, there is a number of questions that I typed answers to, most of them related to whether or not the slides will be available after the presentation. So is that a possibility? Can we send the people who registered a copy of this presentation for future reference?
Sure. Please do send it. However, if you would send it as a PDF. And
Okay.
if we need to send it to you as a PDF, we can.
I think I could just open it and just save it as a PDF. I don't think that would be an issue.
Right. Okay, great.
Thank you for that. So I will go down. I see Dennis. What's happening, Dennis? Does this certification transcend a state database to a national database? Just curious if this certification will be useful for interstate commerce.
Good question. Great question. So once you're certified in your home state, so let's say you're certified with us, then you can apply for interstate certification in another state, because each state has their UCP. There's no exact federal database for certified firms. It is mostly just based by states. So what you'll do is, once you get your approval letters with us, great. Then you can go ahead and apply for interstate certification in, let's say, Ohio or Michigan or wherever else you want to do work in that relates to DOT contracting. And that process is a lot quicker comparatively to the new application process. Broadly speaking, you provide everything that you provided to your home states, and then you provide the interstate application form that you notarize and fill out for whatever state you're looking to get certified in. And the certifiers in those states will review all the documents and make sure the home state, i.e. us, did their jobs, and allow the reciprocity to kick in across the states. And then at that point in time, what we do here with the annual review, you also do in that other states. So your anniversary date may be February 20th in Pennsylvania, but you may be getting your approval letters in another state, as in Ohio, in, let's say, September. That's going to be your anniversary date for Ohio, that you'll need to fill out the no change affidavit with them, and be compliant within those states as well. And again, that's no cost at all. It is purely just filling out a form for the UCP. And it's best case scenario, you would look up, let's say if you want to do work in Ohio, look up DBE certification in Ohio, Ohio DOT. It's usually the Department of Transportation, DOT, their website, who handles the DBE certification.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah, Dennis, if you have any more questions, just let me know and I'll make sure I connect you next time we talk. Next question is, go ahead. I'm sorry, Lisa.
I'm sorry. So in reference to certification, as we stated, it is DBE certification. So it's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification. It was a certification that was mandated by the United States Department of Transportation. So the certification was mandated for entities that receive funding from USDOT. And again, I keep saying DBE because we get a lot of questions regarding this. And so if you're interested in contracting with anyone, whether it's the URA, the city of Pittsburgh, the city of Philadelphia, the state of Missouri, Kansas, wherever, it really benefits you to know who your customer is or who you're interested in doing work with, because different entities accept different certifications. It's just fortunate here in the Pittsburgh area that the city authorities, Allegheny County, the county authorities, they do accept the DBE certification to count toward MBE and WBE goals, but there may be some entities that may not use or may not allow you to use this certification. So with any entity, you really want to find out as a minority or woman business what certifications are accepted so that you can have all the ones that are necessary for the type of work that you do or for your customers. And it's pretty much the same information, maybe a little different. This, if you can get a DBE certification, it's probably more information required than other certifications. Thank you.
Thank you for that follow-up, Lisa. That was really helpful. And the next question, Lisa actually answered is, if you are already certified, can you still partner with the URA? You know, simple answer is yes. The URA certification is just for URA projects, but we accept the DBE and the PA UCP certification. The city of Pittsburgh does as well. Next question is, if we have more than one location, for example, an admin office and a production facility, which one would you need to visit for certification?
That's a good question. So in regards to that, we might be visiting both. It depends on the the application if we need to visit the admin office, but for sure the production facility, because if, let's say, for example, you're a trucking company and you say, hey, you have trucks. Okay, well, we have to go there and see if there's an engine in them. So we have to go there and validate that your production facility is operating like it intends. So more than likely we'll be requesting an on-site at that production facility, and maybe the admin office as well. But it is, I would say, probably a case-by-case basis if we need to do both.
Right, and so the regulations require us to visit the principal place of business. And so in any additional sites if necessary. So it really just depends on what type of business that you have, and home offices are fine.
Thank you. Next question is, how long do I have to wait to reapply if I am denied?
Okay, so if you get denied, we'll obviously clearly states why you got denied, and we'll also state in the letter itself that's the appeal process. But also, if you're looking to reapply, it's 1 year after that letter date. So if you get denied on February 19th, then a year after that is when you're allowed to reapply.
Right, and that is a great question. And again, if you're denied, you have to wait a 12-month period. However, all applicants have the option of withdrawing their application before a determination is made. So, and we can deny application for someone not being responsive. So if you feel that you can't get all your documents together, or you're lacking some information and you need a little more time and we're at that deadline, then you may want to withdraw. And then after, if you withdraw, then you can reapply at any time.
Thank you. I think these two are really similar. One was asking for the URL for the application, also the links for the website. I think we can, I don't know if we could share them in the chat, but I'll be sending this presentation out to everyone who attended this. So all that information will be in there. Unless, is there a better way you think, Robert? If we could,
I can paste it in the chat. So it's pacp.dbesystems.com. That is the broad website for the entirety of the PACP. If you hit the next slide, it'll get our contact information. It'll have the certification team's email address. So DEI at county.allegheny.us. That is our broad email, and we all see that, everyone within the departments. So if you have any questions or you're looking to apply, we have a new applicant's basic email that we send out to people that went over a lot of what we did just now, and some other additional forms that you can review as well.
Okay, so to Robert's point, he gave you the URL for the website for the application. And so you can also access it by www.paucp.com, which is the Pennsylvania Unified Certification Program. We had some issues with that URL at one point in time, but it's working now. www.paucp.com. And I'm sorry that I have this DEI at AlleghenyCounty.us for this presentation, because any questions relating to certification should be sent to, and Robert, if you would put it in the chat too.
Just did, yep.
Thank you. It should be, anything regarding certification should really be sent to DEI certification at AlleghenyCounty.us. That way it's sure to get to the certification staff.
Yeah, so if you just hit chats, you'll see the DEI certification email address. That is the emails that go straight to Lisa and I, and also Damien, our deputy director, and then also the PAUCP websites that we have there, where you can see the 5 different logos, and you see our logo also included there. And you just click on the logo, and it'll bring you to a pop-up where you can create your vendor accounts. And if you have any issues with the portal, please make sure to email support, where it says contact support, and email your question. Okay.
Great, thank you. Next question is interesting question. Are we going to go over how to fill out the form?
That's a great question.
Not today, but I highly suggest doing it through the portal and creating a vendor there. It does help you walk you through it. We still do offer paper applications, but it is, I'm telling you, it is much easier process.
Please, we prefer for you to do it electronically, please. While we cannot deny receiving a paper application, it just benefits us all if you do it electronically. And we do one-on-one certification counseling sessions. So we can help you, we can go through a hard copy with you so you can understand what's going to be required on the site.
And it can be either scheduling it an appointment in the office here at 542 Forbes Avenue, or it can just be done over the phone or via Teams. We send out a link to you.
Right, and Teams has been working really well because we can go through the complete application. If you want a one-on-one certification counseling session, we can go through the application. Even if you want to set up a meeting and share your screen where you're on the site filling out the application and you have some questions, we can pretty much provide you some answers on what we're requesting in that area.
I'm glad someone brought that up because that's something I definitely was going to recommend, that they reach out to you for those one-on-one sessions, because a lot of people who've been reaching out to us about, just understanding this self-cert, the state cert, I've been telling them like, hey, please take advantage of those one-on-ones, take the guesswork out of it, just get the information from the experts. So thank you for that.
Right.
You go ahead.
Or if you want to continue this and do another session where we actually go through the application, we can arrange to do that also. But
that's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea, but the reason why we do one-on-one counseling sessions is because it's a lot of personal information that's required.
Right.
So you may not want to ask personal questions in front of a group of people.
Right.
And so that's why we offer the one-on-one counseling sessions.
In addition to that, like, we are fairly busy, but we always make time for certification counseling sessions.
Great.
In addition, if you send us an email requesting additional information, we will send you some general information and we will attach the application, the personal net worth statement, some tripwires for certification, and just some background. There's a background video on the certification. But when we send that, we're really just sending out for references. We don't want you to take that application and complete it. I want to keep emphasizing that it would benefit us all if you fill it out electronically. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Yeah, but that's a great idea, Lisa. That might be something to think about, us having another sort of joint webinar, just even if it's not, we just show like just the frame and just, go through the questions, stuff like that. So, we'll definitely connect offline about that. Thank you for that. Next question, what's the average time it takes to complete an certification? An application certification.
That is a great question. I wish I had the answer because it varies depending upon the season and what we have going on. But what I can provide for a new application is once you submit the application, we, the certifying entity, have within 30 days to review it and see if it's complete or not. If not, we'll send a request back to you, and we'll clearly state where in the application process and what documents are missing. And once the application is deemed complete, we have all those initial documents. The certifying agency, us, we have within 90 days to provide a determination. So that's the in-depth review, the on-site reports, and anything else that we need to request of the applicant firm. And we provide a determination at the end of that period. But we also can provide an extension if we need more time, or if we need to provide the applicant a little more time to answer some of our questions or provide some more of the documents that we request. So that's the general timeline. But to answer the question, I am not sure what the average time, because it is very dependent upon what's going on in the office and what's our application queue like, because we also have annual renewals.
It varies per application. It varies. It depends on what kind of company it is, how long you've been in business. how many documents we need to review. So it varies per application.
Thank you. I think that's a good segue to this next question. Just so you know, Jolie and Kenji, I'm going to combine your questions because you're asking something very similar. And it's essentially, you know, one is saying that they're a new company, they don't have tax returns, and the other is basically asking, you know, what's the minimum amount of time that you need to be in business in order to apply for certification?
I would say, jokingly, I would say 1 day, as long as you have a certificate of organization form, like you're recognized by the states, you should be good to go. And all the other documents that's are requested, and you can provide, you should be fine. It does not matter if you see the application state, like what's your past 3 years of gross receipts. You can be in business for about a week or a month or 5 months. It is fine in that regard. It just means that we won't be requesting the past 3 years of your business tax returns because those are not even filed just yet.
Right, and we will require you to, you know, tell us when the application asks when the business was formed and things like that. So we would need the backup documentation. And if, of course, if your business was just formed, then we know you don't have taxes, but we still require 3 years of personal taxes and business taxes. So you may not have business taxes, but you should have personal taxes unless you haven't worked. In addition to that, when we're reviewing the certification, we're reviewing it to ensure that, again, that you are, the company is owned, operated, and controlled by at least 51% minority and or women. And that, again, you have the capability of doing the scope of work that you're applying for your business. So Robert talked about the NAICS codes, which is, I hope I don't mess this up, North American Industry, some kind of code.
Classification system.
Yeah,
You were actually correcting me on that earlier.
Thank you. So there are codes that go along with different scopes of work.
And in the chat, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, and that's, okay, great, Robert, you put it in there. So that's a great website to go to and just put in, you could put in construction, you could put in accounting, and it'll show you various NAICS codes that represent that scope of work. And so we're looking to ensure that your business may not have been in existence for a long period of time, but do you have the experience to be an accountant? And so we're not going to certify someone as a minority or woman business to do bridge inspections. If they've never inspected a bridge or they don't have the technical background for it, then we can't certify you in that code.
got it. Thank you. Thank you. This next question is asking, is there a way to pre-qualify their business? Are there questions they should look at, you know, prior to applying?
So there is a page of tripwires that we can provide. If you reach out to us, we can provide you that. But if you're owned, operated, controlled by 51% minority and woman business, a minority or woman owner, and you have to have some skin in the game. So if you have this company, you formed this company, and it's a $50,000 company, and someone, your employer, if your employer gifted you $40,000 to start your business, that's going to be a problem for us. In addition to that, there are just a number of things that are red flags. And so you have to be in control. It can't be a front where someone else is footing the bill for the company. It has to be the disadvantaged business owners that are footing the bill and really taking the risk for the company. And so the disadvantaged owners, there are many businesses that are 100% owned by disadvantaged individuals. And there are businesses that are owned by 51%, where the 49% owner is non-minority or woman. But that 51% owner has to prove, you know, that they're in control of that business, that they've put the most risk out for that business. And we do look at that, and we request all type of documentation to confirm that.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a really good question. This next one, I actually want to I want to answer this after you guys answer this one as well. But it's how could a certified organization become more visible in their industry, and where can we go to receive support?
Can you repeat that, please?
How could a certified organization become more visible in their industry, and where can we go to receive support?
Okay, so first, being more visible, once you're certified with the PAUCP and with other entities, there's normally a database where your firm is listed and the scope of services that you provide are listed too. And so a lot of government entities and corporations and contractors look at those databases when they're seeking minority and women businesses. There are a plethora of organizations, government, nonprofit, that have programs for minority and women businesses. So I would say to reach out to the Diversity Business Resource Center and any other Diversity Business Resource Center. There are a number.
DBRC, yeah.
Right. There are a number of agencies that work with minority and women businesses. There are small business development centers. There's a lot of information out there and a lot of collaboration amongst different entities to help minority and women businesses. And so there was a second part to that question. What was it?
Actually, it was just where to go and where can we go to get support. It was about visibility, and the other half was about support.
Okay, right. So for instance, there's a governmental committee. There's the MWDBE governmental committee, and every agency that has an MBE or WBE office has a membership to that committee. So they meet monthly and discuss different issues and best practices for minority and women businesses. And they also have an annual outreach event. Normally when it's in person, it's at the Rivers Club. It's a free event, and they have all different nonprofits and government agencies there where the MBEs and WBEs can go around and meet the different agencies and see what opportunities are available. And so that's what you want to really hone in on, what you want to do, what your business is going to do, who your audience is, and what's available for you from support from that agency or entity.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I get this question a lot. I talk to a lot of minority firms, and one of the things that I would say and recommend is, just going back to just old school, just getting out in the streets and networking, really understand your vertical, your niche, and the industry you're in, and just understand the players, the big companies, and your industry that are going to go after the big contracts and different things like that, and they are going to be looking for firms like you in order to meet their numbers. So the more that you can get in front of them, explain to them what you do, get familiar, just the better. All the resources that the county had mentioned, but just going back to this old school networking, sending emails, just introducing yourself, getting out to events, and just understanding who's on certain projects and different things like that, building relationships. That sort of networking will take you extremely, extremely far with the MWBE certification, well, DBE certification. I know you told me to stop using that, Lisa, so DBE cert.
A hard habit, don't worry.
And so I want to add to that, in reference to business, there are pre-bid meetings, there are pre-construction meetings, there are pre-proposal meetings, anything that comes up that pertains to your business, you want to attend those functions, because whether you're a prime contractor or subcontractor, that's where people meet. That's where people find out about projects. And so you'll get to know the key players or the key people who are bidding or proposing on projects. And so anything that's going on, any type of networking event you want to go to. And so there's a number of agencies that are in the area. And so there are a number of, let me think, I'm thinking about Cocopreneurs. So they deal with African-American businesses, and they actually have a website where they have a directory of businesses. And so you want to hook up with those kind of agencies that, their goal is to help move the needle for minority and or women businesses. And a
Thank
lot
you
of
for that.
functions are free. A lot of functions are free. And so you want to attend those functions. I'm sorry, Pierce.
No, I mean, no, that you're absolutely right. That's, just, I just reiterate that. Yeah, getting out to those networking events, knowing, where people are going to, other companies are going to network and stuff like that, that will really do you wonders, and just getting familiar with the players in the game. But yeah, thank you for that. Next one is this certification beneficial for a company that doesn't bid on contracts?
This is what I say to people. Certification, it's a business decision. It's up to you whether you want to get certified or not. It doesn't cost you any money. It does cost you some time because there's some documentation required to be completed. But you don't want to get into a situation where they're looking for a minority or woman business or a disadvantaged business enterprise. You can do the work, but you don't have the certification. So if you have it, it's just an extra tool in your tool belt, right? It doesn't guarantee you work. Certification doesn't guarantee you work. You are the best marketer of your business. So you need to market your business, period. And so I would say just look into it and see, because as I stated, you may not bid on contracts, but there are corporations and private industry that do look for these certifications. UPMC has a program where they accept our certification. So you might not necessarily have to bid on a project. They have a minority and woman business program. So does Highmark, or I should say Allegheny Network. So there are a variety of entities that use the services of minority and women businesses, and they're looking for firms that are certified.
Thank you for that. And that's another segue into this next question. It was more so URA for URA folks, but it was asking if their notary business should get this certification for URA projects. The simple answer is no, just because, typically the RFPs and RFQs we send out aren't necessarily for those services, but like Lisa had mentioned, having a certification wouldn't hurt for those other entities and those other organizations who, require the, the DBE, search in order to, utilize minority firms. So for the URA, not so much, but it would definitely be beneficial for other organizations in our region. And moving from there, it says, as a consultant working from home and my product is intellectual, do you still need office visits?
It depends. More than likely, because we're using Teams a lot, we might just request like, all right, take photographs of your office, of your place of work. And we can conduct the on-sites virtually through Teams. But again, it depends on each company is different. So it really depends on the application. And if we do need to make an office visit to your place of business, even if it is your home.
Okay, so let me add to that. So the regulations require us to make a site visit to the principal place of business. And so due to COVID, they have given us guidance where they permitted us to do on-site or virtual on-sites. So if your business is intellectual and you're doing it from home, that's not a problem. That wouldn't preclude you from getting certified. If it was pre or post COVID, we would have to come out to your place of business. But during this COVID season, we can do it virtually, but it's a requirement. And so we're just looking, I've been to on-sites where I'm sitting at a kitchen table and someone has a plastic file container where they keep their files, or they have their laptop or keyboard. I've been to on-sites like that. So we just need to know that you're in business and you have some sort of setup for business.
Thank you. Is there a preview online? I think is there a preview did you show that in the slides, Robert? I wasn't sure.
Preview online. In regards to the online portal?
I believe so.
I'm not quite sure, but one of the links in the chat, I would say, the PACP.dbe system, if you click on our logo, Allegheny County, it'll bring up the sites. So once you create an account, you'll be able to peek into the system and start the application process in there.
Okay, thank you for that. This next question is for me. If you receive a URA loan, is the certification a part of the package? The simple answer to that is no. Those things aren't really connected, but we definitely recommend, depending on the type of business you have, if you do have a URA loan, please reach out to our counterparts at the county to start the certification process. Our next question is, what are reasons to not qualify?
There is a wide variety of regulations where it clearly states what we mean by what we determine as control, what we determine as ownership, and the like. And we look at substantial wealth and as it relates to personal net worth. But that is how do I put this? There is a lot then that goes involved with the certification process, and it gets more complicated when you have more owners, and if you have previous ownership, or if you bought ownership, or the ownership was gifted. We have to scrutinize those relationships and see if it meets the regulations that we have.
Okay, thank you for that. This next question is stating that the company that they're speaking about is their company, but it's an agency, and they are unsure on the number since it's an agency and they make commissions.
If I were to understand this question, it sounds like your company is more of a broker, and there is a NAICS code that relates to being a broker. It might be like it's a certain type of NAICS code, and again, it depends on the scope of work that's being conducted. So you can do a search for a certain NAICS code that relates to your business, but as it relates to being a broker versus doing the work, certain codes where if you're looking for, you're doing, let's say, construction management, but you're actually subcontracting it out to other people, then that's something that would not get you certified, because we're looking at the people who are actually putting in the work. The company is actually doing the work for this type of NAICS code or work description that you're indicating that your firm does.
Well, really quick,
Yeah.
Robert, I'm thinking maybe they might, like if they're like an Allstate type of like insurance broker and they have like their own
Okay.
shop. I think that might be what she's referring to here. If you can answer that too as well, just to make sure we cover our bases in regards to that.
We do have
Yeah.
insurance agents that are certified. And so when we talk about the broker code, we're talking about someone who is selling goods or products, supplies, and they're not, they don't handle those supplies at all. They could drop ship them, or they're just making a call and they get a commission. Then that would be considered a broker or a trade agent. And that's the broker code that we're talking about, that Robert was talking about.
Great, thank you. Hopefully that answered the question, Raquel. The next one is good question. Can you be WBE and C and DBE certified at the same time, or just to expand that, can you have multiple certifications? Because that's a question I get a lot as well.
Yes, EMSDC, WeBank, and DBE, you can have all three if you do obviously qualify for them, and I think there's more certifications out there, but yes, you can be certified for both at the same time, because WeBank, WBE, and C, that's technically WBE certification, and then EMSDC's certification, that's MBE certification, and this is DBE certification, just to make that distinction there.
Can I go back to Raquel's question, because I need to make a statement regarding her question.
Sure.
So, in regards to what may disqualify you, if you are a franchise and you don't control your business, you don't decide what you buy, they tell you who your customers are and things like that, that means you're not independent. So you more than likely, we do have some franchisees that are certified, but more times than not, a franchisee probably wouldn't qualify. But we would look at, your operating agreement to see if you would qualify or not.
Thank you. That was really helpful. George from KS Engineers, he just jumped, but he doesn't have a question. You can ask a question if we're about to wrap up in a bit. But I actually have a question that I received probably a day or two ago through our MWBE portal, and I'm just curious about, Robert. Is the certification only for for-profit businesses?
Correct. Yes, this is only for for-profit. There's an actual question in the application, on the paper and online, that asks a yes or no if you're for-profit or not. If you mark no, then you're not allowed to continue along with the certification, because this is primarily just dealing with for-profit entities.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I was wondering, I was wondering for myself.
That actually needs to go into our presentation. It absolutely has to be a for-profit business.
Okay, thank you for that. And George actually did have he did put his question in. He says that he has an MBE certification from the National Minority Supplier Development Council. And do we need an MBE certification from PAUCP to do engineering work in Pittsburgh?
George, hello, George, great question. And so that depends on who you want to do business with. So I would check with the entity, for instance, and I'm sorry, what kind of, he's talking about bridge work, right?
No, he's just engineering work.
Just engineering work. Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry about that, George. So that depends, and that depends on the funding of the contract, because if it is funded by US DOT dollars, then you have to be DBE certified, period, to count towards the goals. US DOT funded contracts have DBE goals, disadvantaged business enterprise goals, and that's what the PAUCP is for. And so here at Allegheny County, of course, we accept the PAUCP certification, but we accept other certifications for contracts that are not funded by transportation dollars.
Yeah, he specified highway and bridge transportation work.
Yes, so those, yeah, great. So those contracts have DBE goals, and you would have to be certified as a DBE to count toward those goals.
Great, thank you. So it looks like that is the conclusion of our Q&A. Robert, Lisa, do you have any closing thoughts or any anything that you want to share with the audience before we conclude?
No, I want to say thank you to the URA. We're always trying to get the word out about the DBE certification, and making it clear that it is a DBE certification and not an MBE and WBE certification. But we also want people to know, and which was in the presentation, that if you're a DBE certified firm, there is a verification with the State Department of General Services, where they will utilize our certification and give you a classification as MBE or WBE. If that makes sense. If I need to clarify, let me know.
And once again, our email address is DEIcertification@AlleghenyCounty.us. Our main office number is presented on the slide there. You can call, leave a voicemail if we're not available between outside the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We usually respond back to the messages that are left. And if you're just looking for like basic new applicants forms and just an overview of the whole program, please be sure to email us inquiring about certification, and we can send it out to you. It is pretty quick for us, and reviewing all that information in the email, it benefits the applicant obviously, and also us. So if you schedule a counseling session down the line, you would have a lot more in-depth questions to ask us that are already answered in the email, if they're fairly basic, I would say.
Okay, Pierce,
Right.
I have something additional to add.
Sure.
So here at the Department of Equity and Inclusion, we have some open positions. One of our positions is actually a certification analyst, office manager, clerk, So if you're interested in working for the county and specifically for the Department of Equity and Inclusion, if you would go to the county's website, www.alleghenycounty.us, and select work, and you will see all the openings here at Allegheny County. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I just want the URA, on behalf of the URA, I would just like to thank Robert, Lisa, and the Allegheny County's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department for this wonderful presentation. I will work on getting everyone a copy of this slideshow. And if you have any URA questions, please feel free to reach out to the mwbe@ura.org email address to speak to myself, Tim, or Jasmine. And I appreciate everyone taking the time out. We hope that you take advantage of this opportunity. Please schedule the one-on-one sessions. And hopefully we'll have another one of these where we'll start breaking down the application just to have some more, focus on actually applying and different things like that. But I'll let everyone get to the evening. We appreciate the time, and thanks everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Be safe.
Good night.